everybody, it's Clef from Punchboard Paradise, and I'm back again, continuing on with my top 101 board games of all time. Oh, and this time we are on to number 30 through 21. Ooh, they're getting good. So if you're not familiar, I do have a podcast that is called Punchboard Paradise that I do with a couple other gentlemen, Chad and Richie, and we've been doing it for a long time. And we did on our podcast, just our last podcast out, we did our top 25 games of all time. Each of us did. And then we have our wonderful, amazing people that listen to us that we have nicknamed the Punch Bunch. You can see it right up here, Punch Bunch. Okay. And they did their top 25 also. But I thought it'd be kind of fun to go through and do the entire 100. And then I threw an extra one in. So I'm doing my top 101 of all time. So part of this, people may have already heard because they listened to the podcast and you have already gotten 25 through 21. But as I said, I'm going to continue and I'm going to do, 2 more videos where we'll have the 20 through 11 and then good old top of 10 coming. So I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to get to the games because that's what you're here for. You're like, what in the heck is going to be number 30? And number 30 is a phenomenal game. And this one used to be pretty close to my top 10. It doesn't see as much playtime as it used to, which is unfortunate because it's such a great game. I've got a couple of people in my game group, one in particular, not a huge fan of this game, so sometimes it's hard to get to the table, and especially with playing new stuff. But I'm hoping that soon, this year, I'll get a few more plays into it because I love this game, and that is Wildcatters. Oh, I love this game so much. This game basically is area control of trying to get your different oil barrels down into each one of the continents kind of as an area control. But come on, it's really about, can I stick my opponent with a loan? Now, sometimes maybe they're expecting it and they want to take a loan, but loans in this game are so punishing because you only get like 10 shares for taking a loan and you got to pay like 20 back or 25 back. I can't even remember what the number is, but it's ridiculous. It's so hard. And that's like if you do it like mid-game, if you do it the last, like in the last couple of rounds and you got to pay it back, it's even worse. It's so good. It's so fun. I love those moments of when you stick somebody, like I said, with a share, but just trying to figure it out and trying to get your oil into those areas and yet keep your shares is so much fun. If you've never tried this one, it's well worth it. This one, Capstone Games here with this version, they did a bang up, amazing job. So that is my number 30, Wildcatters. So my number 29, back to a little bit of a small box game, and where I very much still, will say the predecessor, the original here of this game, I still enjoy. I still think it's a great game. I just think it's past where, I played the original of this game a lot. But when they put this into a 2-player game, it shot it up. And I still, anytime somebody wants to say a 2-player game and it's just a quick little thing, you can't go wrong with a little 7 Wonders Duel. Now, maybe not as heavy as a lot of the games that I'm going to talk about, I have been talking about. But as you can see, I've got some on my list that they don't have to be a heavy game for me to enjoy them. And this is one of those that I just think just is solid. It's the cool part about this game is there are 3 ways to win. You either can win by victory points at the end of the game, or during the game you can win with a military victory or a science victory. And it's all about drafting these cards and you don't ever want to try to open up too many cards that something could be really good for your opponent, which I kind of like that kind of yin and yang as you're kind of going along the cat and mouse of, am I going to open that one up? And then you've got your wonders that you're attempting to do. It's really well done. It has had maybe 3 expansions now come out. I have 2 of them. I can't remember if there's any more. And where I thought the expansions were very cool, I've found myself just going back to just the base game. I find the base game just to be so elegant and just wonderfully done that I just love it. And so that's going to make it my number 29, 7 Wonders Duel. So my number 28 is also a small box game, and I like this one just a teeny bit better because this is a 2-player game also. So it's almost my little 2-player game shot right here. And this is by the great Dr. Rainer Knizia. Now, there's a couple of versions out there. Some people play a game called Battle Lines. Some players call Shoton Totton. Really, mine is the Shoton Totton version. It's just the version that I've gotten. It doesn't matter. It's still the same game. And this is just so thinky and elegant on how it plays. I had another game up a little bit further. What was that game that I was just thinking of? Lost Cities, okay? Also by Knizia. Where Lost Cities, I feel like, is a little bit more luck-based. You know, it's kind of like I'm pressing my luck and hoping, I'm going to put a couple of handshake cards down, and then I'm going to go for it and hope that I draw a couple more blue or whatever. And where Shoton Totton definitely has a luck aspect of it, because you don't know what cards you're going to draw. You have to play a card before you even draw a card. And obviously you're drawing cards as the game goes along. There's definitely more strategy in this, because your object of the game is simply trying to win 5 stones or win 3 in a row. And trying to trick your opponent into thinking, oh, this one I can win, and maybe then you've got... It's just so cool how it's done. It just amazes me. The simplisticness of this game, and yet how much enjoyment I can have at it. And I've played this, I've played it 20, 30, I don't know, probably over 30 times, I'm going to guess. And yet I can still sit down with my wife and enjoy this. I can sit down with other gamers and enjoy this. It's just really, really good. So if you've never tried this, absolutely check out Shoton Totton. My number 28. So we went from a little small box to a big giant box. And in that big giant box, look at here, I got the boxes out of order. That's okay. It's all good. All right, that giant box. Oh, getting it all the way up here. You can kind of see it right here. Barrage. Okay, I'm going to set it down now. Okay. Wow, does this game pack a lot of stuff into this box right here. And it gives you a big game from this big box. Now, in all simplest terms, this is a worker placement game. You literally are going to be taking workers and you're going to be putting them on different worker placement spots. Pretty basic, pretty simple, okay? But the game where it shines is it is a hugely interactive game on the board. And with those worker player spots, but also out of the board of trying to get water into yours, and then you can cut people off, and the different things that you can do to just try to score the most points. But wow, it just hits. It's such a good implementation, and this is from good old Simone Luciani, I believe. Also Tommaso Bastia, and I apologize, I'm sure I killed these names, but I think I got Simone Luciani. I'm pretty sure I got that one right. But anyways, just a masterpiece, and for me, probably the top Luciani game. And I like a lot of Luciani games, but I feel like this one, for a Euro game, gives me what I really like, which is that very tough, interactive game with that tough puzzle still. And I know a lot of people had some bad issues with the production when it came out, the boxes being shipped and stuff. I got lucky. I've never had an issue. The one I got just fine. Came with an expansion. I think I ordered a new expansion, came out just fine. And finally, I think there's a new one, like a 2-player map that we've kickstarted, and it's been kickstarted, and I'm looking forward to it coming too, because I really look forward to playing it as a 2-player with a 2-player map. But nonetheless, my number 27. You can get a workout too. Ooh, okay, number 27, Barrage. So this next one is not that much smaller. It's a little bit smaller, quite a bit more lighter, but in a way, it's heavier. And this is what when people are like, well, if you're rating a Euro, kind of lightweight, medium weight, heavy, this one's going to be on that top of that scale of a Euro game. And that is the amazing Arkwright. I can't say enough about this game. It's thinky, it's manipulative. You have to try to figure out what to sell your goods at to try to undercut your opponents. And then you can worry about shipping them. You can worry about selling them to the local market. But really what this game comes down to, it has a lot to do with the selling of the goods and the prices, but they have all these different special tiles that you can take, and each one of them will do some different things, and it's so much fun to try to put those together to see what you can do with those tiles, whether you do like an investor one, or you do like a your machines make you or cost less, or whatever the case, your workers are less. Such a cool thing. And it's kind of a pain sometimes to set up because you got to put all those workers out on the board, but really after that it's not that bad. It's so good. And good old Stefan Ristenhouse, he really he just knocked it out of the park with this one. I mean, I've played the card game. The card game came out, Arkwright the card game, and where it was good, it just left me with the feeling of I'd rather just play Arkwright. So not to say it was bad, and I enjoyed it, but I'm always going to pick Arkwright over that. And this is hey, it's my number 26. We're getting down to the nitty gritty. So there you go, number 26, Arkwright. Okay, so we've now come to the point where maybe like I said, if you listen to the podcast, you're going to know the rest of these games, but I'm still going through them. And hey, anybody who's never listened to the podcast and you're just turning in and saying, who's this crazy guy talking? You have no clue. So we're moving on, and we're going to hit you with number 25, which is a brand new game to my list. It just came out last year. And we're going to be doing a review of this game here coming up on my podcast, our next episode coming out. And it is unique in the fact that this is a 2 versus 2 game, period. There's no bots, there's no this, there's no that. So if you don't have 4 players, you're probably not going to want to have this game. But for me, it's going to be a keeper for a long time, and that's La Familia. Yeah, good old Capstone Games, once again. A designer who, honestly, I've never heard of him doing anything, Weberson Santiago. So first time I've ever heard any of his games, and for me, he really rocked this game. Like I said, 2 versus 2. So you're having 2v2. I think I've said that enough. With your partner and you sitting next to each other, and then the team against you. And the uniqueness in the fact that your team and you will never take a turn back to back. You always, like if one person takes a turn, it shoots over to me, and then I shoot over to them, and then it shoots back over to my partner. And so it goes back and forth, which is just a really cool aspect of the game. It's all area control. You're trying to control these different areas, and it has a little bit of worker placement in it. And then it also has these orders that you place out. But the cool thing about the orders are they're numbered, and the lower the number, earlier they go off. So if you get, like, let's say I had like a 4 out on the board and somebody else had a 5, and I was able to wipe out their soldiers in their area before they got to their number 5 with my number 4, their number 5 doesn't even go off, which is like, so maddening sometimes. That just makes it great. I'm not going to say anything more. Like I said, we got a review coming up, and I might even do a video review on this one because not enough people are talking about this game. It needs to be out there more. So if you like area control, you like team aspect, this is definitely one I would suggest to check out. That's my number 25, La Familia. So 24 has been in my top games of all time for a few years now. And this is another one of those games. I understand in a way why it's not as popular as it is. I mean, a lot of people might look at this game and I don't ever heard of this. The art and the theme that they put onto this game was maybe not the best. They probably could have done something a little bit better. However, it doesn't bother me in the sense that for the abstractness of this game of what I enjoy. And that is the game called Santa Maria. It's a tile placement game with dice drafting. So if you've never heard of this one, basically what you're doing is you are going to be placing down tiles onto your board. And then when you draft a die, you're going to move them either horizontal or vertical. And every one of the symbols that it goes over in that line. So let's say I drafted a 2 and it goes down. I would move it all the way down. And every symbol on that row, I would get that. Whether that be get a sugar, or maybe that lets me do a shipping action. Maybe it lets me do a prayer action. There's multiple different actions that it lets you do. you'll do all those. So the more actions you can obviously have in that row, the better. Where maybe if I took a 4, maybe I only got like 2 actions as opposed to the other one where I've got 4 or 5 actions. So that is it's so cool trying to put your board together, and it's almost programming in the way. Like I might have a shipping action where I need a sugar, but the sugar is after the shipping action on that particular row. So then I'm like, I got to do something else to go get that sugar before I run that row, because if I go to ship and I don't have the sugar, I can't use it. I like that. I mostly play this 2 players, and I play this with my podcast mate, Richie. Me and him, we can probably bang out a game in about half hour to 45 minutes. There is some expansions with it. I've played with all of them. Most of them are pretty cool. The governor one will drive you bonkers, but there's some good things in them. The cacao that they put in is really cool. So I don't know if any of that's still available. I don't even know if this game is still available. I know that there was a lot of talk about trying to do a remake with a better and different theme on it. I don't know if that's ever gone anywhere. But if you like tile placement, you like scrap everything I just said. If you like tile placement and dice drafting, then this is definitely can be right up your alley. I would check it out if you can get a hold of a copy. My number 24, Santa Maria. All right, my number 23. Maybe you've heard this word come out of me before. It's a splotter. I'm a big splotter fan. I mean, every splotter is so good and so unique in its own way. At least for me, every splotter I've played, I've not played them all for sure, but out of the big ones, I've played them all. And there are still some that are still upcoming. But right now, jumping in at number 23 is The Great Zimbabwe. So if you're not familiar with this game, really the coolest part of this game is you're going to start off with a victory threshold. Everybody starts off with a 20-point victory threshold. But as you play the game, you're going to be taking either specialist cards or god cards or the architect cards. I can't remember what the hell they're called, but those cards, you're going to be drafting those, or not drafting, but purchasing those. And when you do, you are going to increase, for the most part, you're going to increase your victory threshold. So you might get a card and it says +4, and then now your new victory threshold is 24. You might get another card that's a +5. Okay, my new victory threshold is 29. So it's just going to keep going up as you continue to get more cards. So there's a point where you got to be like, okay, I got to make do with what I have. Which, honestly, it's so simplistic on your turn. I mean, basically, you're going to build a monument, you're going to upgrade a monument, or you're going to lay out, I can't think what the name of it is, but the different with the diamond makers and the wood makers and all those kind of things. So it's so simple, but yet it's so interactive and so just, so well done. I hate to use the word elegant again, but I mean, it really is so elegant. The turn order bidding is so unique on how you bid with your monetary value, which happens to be cattle in this game. But as you do that, you're putting one on every single person's kind of like their player marker. And so you can not even be involved in the hunt for first player, and you are still going to get income out of it from other people putting theirs on there, which is so neat. But I'll tell you, I don't know if there's a game out there. There probably is, but I'm going to say I don't think that there's a game out there that first player is not as important as in Great Zimbabwe. Because that means you get to use all the resources out there before anybody else does, and that's just so cool. So I could be wrong. Maybe, hey, you tell me a game that you think maybe has better, that being first player is more important than in the Great Zimbabwe. I don't know if it's out there. But anyways, so that's it. Number 23, The Great Zimbabwe. So my number 22 is a kind of a big player count game. And I've played this probably, I'd say 10 times. And the game, the only reason maybe it's a little bit lower on my list than it is on some other people's lists is sometimes you need a right group to play it. And I've played a couple of times where I had some so-so groups that really weren't into it, and so then it just kind of flattened out. But I've had a couple of games, and for those of you, for the convention that Punchboard Paradise runs, the first year that we ever played it with 6 guys was one of the greatest games probably one of the greatest gaming experience I've ever had in my life. And I guess I should just sit in here and tell what that game is, and that is Dune. Now, for those maybe you're not familiar with it, there's another game out there called Dune Imperium, which is a little probably more popular at this point, kind of a deck building game. That is not what we're talking about here. This is it's kind of an area control game where everybody's going to have a different faction. And if you're a Dune fan, I mean, you're going to flip over this because of all the cool factions and everything that's with it. I'm not a huge Dune fan, so to me, it could be any old theme. I'd probably be just fine, but it still works for what it does. But this is, like I said, it's kind of area control. Everybody has their own faction, and you win by controlling 3 out of these different strongholds that they have out on the board. And there's a certain number in the base game, and then with additional expansions, you can add some more. But that's how you kind of win. But however, during certain rounds, a card's going to come up and you can make alliances. And so then if you align with somebody, then with you and your partner, not only do you kind of get to use, like you get to share some of your abilities with them, but then you also, you can win together. And now you have to have 4 strongholds between the 2 of you. But the moment that you get to 4 strongholds, then you are the winner or at the end of the round. So such cool, you can have, alliances broken. You can have backstabbing. You can have 15 different trips out to the hallway to talk about strategy. It's so much fun, such a blast. And honestly, sometimes in my head I'm like, this probably should be a little bit higher with as much fun as I've had with it. But hey, right now I got a number 22, so that is Dune. So finally, my last one on this list is another Alvin Viard game. And I'm a big Alvin Viard fan. I certainly, he's done a lot of Age of Steam maps that are cool. He's done some Age of Steam maps that maybe aren't the best, but some of them are very cool. He certainly had Small City, which I had on earlier in the list. He's done some other really interesting games. And this one used to be a little bit higher on my list. Haven't gotten to play it as much. For one thing, another game that I'll talk about, I did a campaign with, so that kind of took up a little bit of the time that maybe I'd play this one, and certainly playing Age of Steam. But for me, this game is still a top-tier game, and that's going to be my number 21, Tramways. If you're not familiar with Tramways, it's some people will refer to it as Age of Steam with cards, which it kind of is in a way. I mean, you are building routes, and you're delivering things as opposed to cubes. You're kind of delivering passengers. But the thing that kind of sets Tramways away from Age of Steam is its auction. And its auction is the most brutal auction that you will ever play in a game. So if you're not familiar with this auction, if I was first player, let's say I bid $3, so I'd be at a bid of 3. Next person, let's say they bid 4, and it goes up and up, and then it comes back around to me. Well, it's back to me, and everybody's outbid me, let's say. And at this point, I've already spent $3, but it's not like I can now just add to it and say, okay, I'm going to go up to 8 or something by adding 5 to it. Nope. That $3 is gone. I have to start again. So now if I wanted to bid, say, 8, I got to put $8 more in to increase my bid to 8. So now I've actually spent 11 just to be at a bid of 8. And there's a lot more that goes on with this auction. I'm not going to talk too much about it, but that just makes it so painful. I've seen people pay, $10 to $15 to go last, which is just so brutal. It's so much fun. And I've got a lot of the expansions for it. One of my favorite expansions, there's a map called the Shangri-La. Is it Shangri-La? No. Shanghai. Sorry, Shanghai. The Shanghai map, which is, talk about, putting brutally mean stuff on top of brutally mean stuff. That's what the Shanghai map is. But I love it. It's so much fun. Just one of my favorite maps. So yeah, so there we go. There from Out in the Yard, number 21, Tramways. Okay, so that's going to do it for this one. So that's good old 30 through 21. Certainly, let me know if you have any questions or if you have any comments or you think, your list is terrible or, I really like some of the games. Love to hear from anyone. Really appreciate it. Please, if you are enjoying this, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe. Certainly helps out the channel and helps, get to other people to get to see it. I really appreciate it. So anyways, that's it. Everybody, have a great day.